Hello everyone. I decided to make a video of troubleshooting my 2004 Honda Pilot LX. Basically what it's been doing is that I would start it, it would idle, but it will shut down. So it won't hold the idle steady. But if I do start it and put my foot on the gas, it will continue to run. So it's with some research and some looking through forums and all that other stuff and calling around mechanics, we've narrowed it down to the idle air control valve. I didn't want to start it again and keep revving it, but basically I didn't want to create or do any more damage than what I've done, because I managed to take it home, but every time I let off the gas and encounter a traffic light, it will shut down. So I managed to take it home, but I don't want to start it again and rev it up. But basically that's what's been happening. I started up the idle. It will start up, it will it will let the engine run, but once it goes into the idle, it will shut down completely. So upon determination, what I decided to do is to change the idle air control valve. So hope this helps. So to continue, first and foremost, you need an air idle control valve. It goes against my better judgment not to use original Honda parts, but due to the nature of the problem, which means I cannot run the car and while the part is defective. The availability of the original Honda parts were all special order. So against my better judgment, I went to my local Pep Boys, and this is the part number they gave me. I did look into other other retailers, but this one I kind of saw that was made in the USA, so I opted for the better quality one. So first, it's the air idle control valve and gasket. So just looking at the part, you need to identify where it's going to go. So has the hose here, parts there. So then looking into right where the throttle body is, you need to remove the cover, and we will look for that once we take the cover out. Before we address the problem with the control valve, this is just to let you know that this will only replace the idle air control valve, since I'm not having problems with any misfires, any kind of rough idling. I'm not gonna mess with the throttle body, so I'm not gonna take the throttle body out just to access the air idle control valve. So this in particular is addressing the main problem, which is the air idle control valve. So this is kind of a fair warning that I've been working on cars for ever since I was a kid, so I kind of have like a little bit more confidence in doing this my way. So if this particular way you think will help you with your project, this is one way of accessing the air idle control valve without having to go through and removing the whole throttle body. All right, now that all the covers are removed, it's locating the throttle body, we'll see that it's right this part right here, just underneath the throttle body. It's actually bolted on or screwed onto the throttle body, underneath the throttle body right there. And if you look at it closely, we'll have this screw right here, and another one down there, and this coolant hose that needs to be taken out. So there are 2 screws and a coolant hose that needs to be removed. The coolant hose is just right see that one right there. It's connected to the throttle body, and then there's this screw right here, and diagonal to it there's another screw right there. Right there. Hopefully you can see it. Basically, there are no special tools just to take it out. For me, all I did was get a 1/4 inch wrench, a 1/4 inch. So the tools required, something like this, a 1/4 inch wrench, 1/4 inch socket with a 1/4 inch hex, and a Phillips bit. If you have one of those 90-degree wrenches, or those stubby wrenches that works in tight spaces, that will work as well. I just didn't have the need for that frequently, so I don't have one. I just manufacture my own. First and foremost, before we do any work, now that we have identified where it is to disconnect it, and basically also disconnect the power. So what do you call this, my next video will be showing me disconnecting or removing the part, because unfortunately I'm the only one doing this, so it requires both hands for me to actually get that thing out. So primarily what you do with this is that, like that, and accesses the bolt, the Phillips head, and simply loosen it. The thing about most of these is that since it's on what do you call this, aluminum frame, or the threads are aluminum, they don't really need to be tightened that hard. So the same way to remove it, if what do you call this, if it hasn't been serviced before, it should be easily or relatively easy to remove without that much force required to what do you call this, turn it. But if it doesn't turn, or you manage to, or unfortunately you would strip a thread or strip the heads of the Phillips head, the only way to get it out would be to remove the throttle body. So again, if you don't feel comfortable doing this, and if you feel like you don't have the technical expertise, or what do you call this, the capability to do this confidently, would recommend having a professional do it. So this one, and it would go the same way for the other one. So right now, as you can see, this one is I loosened it earlier, it wasn't that very difficult to what do you call this, to brake. So now I just need to continue turning. A word of caution, so this particular hose is a coolant hose. So if you plan to remove the control valve, disconnect this first so that it will drain out any of the fluids that are inside the throttle body frame or the throttle body mount, and then the fluid will come out of these hoses as well. So you just need to refill it with genuine Honda coolant afterwards, so you might want to get those as well. So I managed to take it out. Here's the old one. It's the reason why I didn't want to mess with the throttle body. As you can see, there's not very much corrosion into the air idle control valve, so there's not much deposits that I was concerned about clogging or messing up my throttle body. What I usually do is every few 100 miles I would add seafoam to my gas, and that pretty much keeps the what do you call this, the throttle body clean. So my personal it is my personal what do you call this, my personal choice. So I don't make any recommendations whatsoever on what to use. So it just, for me, it just works well for the vehicle. Again, this vehicle has 355,000 miles already in it. So this is where the coolant hose is. So coolant comes up here, and the gasket, remove it since it's kind of flattened out. This will be the tricky one to put to place, since you have to feel where the grooves are for the gasket. As you can see, the gasket is offset, so it cannot go any other way than the way it's supposed to be. So if you try to put it that way, you can see that the gaskets don't line up, so they have to be a particular way, like that. And since the gaskets don't have the grooves on the air idle control valve, the grooves are located on the throttle body itself. So what it requires you to do is basically hold the gasket up. Once you find it seated, make sure that it's seated, and then ease in the control valve and kind of slide it up against the gasket. Since I won't be able to film that and install it at the same time, so again, requiring both hands, would have to be my next video, or the next part of the video will be showing that when it's already installed. So now I have the new throttle body in place. So just simply reattach the connectors, and I've already reattached the hose line, because again, it's a two-handed job, so I had to put down the camera for me to be able to do that. Reattach the battery and do the idle learn what do you call this procedure, and it should be set. I will start it right now to find out if the idle holds. So again, this is when the problem presented itself. The car would start and it will rev up, but it won't hold an idle. So basically it was determined that the idle control valve was the culprit to that. So